How many times can Cristiano Ronaldo prove the doubters wrong? At 40 years old, he stood over the ball. The stadium frozen in that rare silence before history is written. Veins tightened on his neck. Sweat traced down his brow, and for a breath, he closed his eyes in prayer. Then, with the weight of every skeptic on his shoulders, he struck. The net rippled. The crowd erupted. But still, the doubt had never gone away. It simply morphed, slid into new whispers, fresh headlines. In 2024, let alone 2025, the Ballon d'Or committee twice left him off the shortlist. Not because he was not scoring, but because some said he was past it. The snub stung. Reporters asked if it hurt. He looked straight at the cameras and dismissed it as fictional. An award that once stood like a high court judgment was now treated like gossip. But an insult like that, for Ronaldo, was always a match to the tinder. Even in Saudi Arabia, where many expected his legend would be safely beyond challenge, criticism found him. After Al-Nassr crashed out of the AFC Champions League, fans shouted for him to be sold. They called him washed up. Some said his prime was long gone. Some said his body would betray him. And the most reckless claim was that by staying on, he blocked younger Portuguese stars and stifled the next generation. But if Ronaldo really was finished, how did a 40-year-old turn Portugal's sharpest weapon into a champion again? Yet despite all that noise, he did what he always did: shut the debate with performance. Shortly after missing the Ballon d'Or shortlist, Ronaldo posted 6 words to social media: "Keep pushing, there's more to do." In that statement, a promise. The next weekend, a brace. Then another performance where he dragged Al-Nassr across the line. And in the press moments, when asked about records, he said,
"I don't follow the records follow me, so..."
Defiance was not just an attitude, it was a strategy. These last years, the numbers had not just crept up, they had blown past expectations. In the 2024-25 Saudi Pro League season, Ronaldo led the league in goals, with 25 in the league and 35 in all competitions. He was the top scorer in the Pro League, despite the constant chatter about age and decline. Al-Nassr, meanwhile, season after season failed to win the league, yet Ronaldo individually kept raising the bar. He scored 35 goals in 31 appearances in 2023-24. He followed that with 25 in 30 in 2024-25. And then came recent matches. 3 appearances already in the 2025-26 season, 3 goals. No assists yet, but the fire was there. In one of those games, Al-Nassr crushed Al-Riyadh 5-1, Ronaldo scoring twice, João Felix also shining. The team looking like they meant every bit of the more-to-do promise. In another clash, he scored a double to guide Al-Nassr to a 3-1 win over Al-Hilal. One with his foot, the second a penalty in the 88th minute after VAR intervened. A moment when the crowd exhaled at what they thought was an impossible comeback, and he made it possible. He looked older only by number. On the pitch, younger by instinct. Each touch, each run, each shot carried urgency. But urgency alone could not hide the looming truth that the one trophy he had never touched still towered above everything else. And yet, while the goals kept coming, the critics now asked deeper questions. Was this about glory, Or was it about money? When Ronaldo signed his new 2-year Al-Nassr contract in June 2025, the headlines were not just about football. The figures were staggering. Over 200 million euros per year. That was 548,000 euros a day. 22,000 euros an hour even while he slept. To some, this was proof he was playing for the paycheck, milking the twilight of his career. But for Ronaldo, the contract was more than security. It was a declaration. Because looming over every conversation was the one shadow on his resume: the World Cup. 5 tournaments, no finals. In 2006, Portugal bowed out in the semi-final. In 2010, Spain ended their run. In 2014, a group stage exit. In 2018, Uruguay. And in 2022, Morocco. For all the Champions Leagues and Ballon d'Ors, Ronaldo had never touched the greatest trophy of them all. That was why the 2026 tournament felt like his last dance, the final mountain. But at 41, could even Cristiano Ronaldo carry a nation past France, Brazil, Argentina and Spain? His critics argued no. They said his leadership with Portugal had never matched his Champions League heroics at Madrid. They claimed his ego forced him into the starting lineup, even when younger strikers like Gonzalo Ramos or Rafael Leao could offer more dynamism. But then came the Nations League in 2024 and 2025. Ronaldo scored against Scotland, Croatia, Denmark, Poland twice, and in the semi-final against Germany and the final against Spain. At 40 years old, he led Portugal to the title. In 8 months, he turned the whispers of decline into silence. The old man of the squad had been its sharpest weapon. And then there was Messi. The eternal rival. The man who finally lifted the World Cup in 2022. Messi had more assists, more total goal contributions. But Ronaldo still clung to certain marks. More goals overall, more hat-tricks, more international hat-tricks. Records that could vanish if he retired too soon. And that was why some called his motivation ego. But in truth, it had always been ego. The ego built him. Ego sustained him. And at 40, ego still drove him forward. To secure his records, to silence the doubters, to chase the one prize missing from his cabinet. However, recent off-pitch moments added fuel to the fire. There was that cryptic 4-word post. "This chapter is over," posted after the Al Fateh game in May 2025, amid speculation about his future at Al-Nassr, about possibly leaving. But even that did not land as a resignation. Rather, he followed it with grace. The story still being written, grateful to all. Those words were not closure. They were defiance in disguise. When asked if he planned to play at the Club World Cup, Ronaldo was blunt. He did not. Asked about clubs reaching out, rumours swirling, he said it was irrelevant to talk of the many, only those that made sense. Think short, medium and long term. In a world of speculation, he controlled the narrative again. Then there was contract time. In June 2025, Ronaldo signed a new 2-year deal with Al-Nassr, keeping him in Riyadh until 2027. Age 42 by the end of it. Many expected this to be farewell tour territory. Many thought this would be a wind down. But instead, he extended not to coast, but to compete. Not for comfort, but for legacy. And not just for the club. His tally at Al-Nassr was eye-watering. By June, he had scored 99 goals in 111 matches. Inside the club, the coaches talked about his invisible training as the secret to longevity. Luis Castro, his former coach, said he has very ingrained routines, a strong culture of training, and great respect for practice and for the game itself. That makes daily work much easier. Under Castro, Ronaldo scored 55 goals in 55 games, a century of efficiency. We shared some great moments together, Castro said. But records alone could never silence the biggest question. And even with all these moments, the shadow of not enough lingered. Titles still eluded him. Al-Nassr finished 2024-25 in third place in the league. They were runners-up in the Super Cup, out in the semi-finals of the AFC Champions League Elite. Trophy dreams delayed again. Some said his stay was about personal milestones, not team glory. Some questioned at what cost. Into that tension stepped Ronaldo, walking into every stadium like he owned the doubt. Family in stands, cameras zooming in on his children, cheering, because these moments were personal, not just public. In one game versus Al Riyadh, his kids were in the stands, Georgina Rodriguez with them, celebrating 2 goals of his. It was love, legacy, lineage, motivation. The chase for 1,000 goals hung over everything. It was not just a number, it was the defining summit. He was creeping up. 945, 938, numbers that echoed. And with every match, that shadow loomed. Some wanted to see him reach it and hang up his boots. Others believed that even after 1,000, he would find another mountain. Then, after the 3-1 Al-Hilal win, he said, "The team effort was crucial to this win, and me scoring is important, but it is more important to win." A line that undercut the narrative. Yes, he cared about records, but what he wanted most was victory. He also said, "I work hard to help the team in the SPL and Champions League and don't concentrate on individual records." Throughout, the imagery grew sharper. Veins, sweat, tunnel shots. The moment when he walked off after a goal, lifting his shirt, chest heaving. The cameras captured the crowd on its feet, the roar, the disbelief. A young fan in a Ronaldo jersey close to tears because they had just witnessed something that many said he could not do anymore. The slow-motion replay of his shot curling in, the goalkeeper's eyes closing, fear mixed with respect. Then the counterpoint, the locker room, Ronaldo nodding to teammates, the quiet moments at training, ice bath, tape around ankles, stretching, grit. The narrative, doubt, defiance, proving, hunger, benediction. Because, despite every new worry, every critique, Ronaldo kept returning. He extended his contract so he could finish the story at Al-Nassr. He was still scoring, still making decisive moves, reaching new marks. 100 goals for Al-Nassr, golden boots, and inching toward 1,000. He was still leading the golden boot race in the current season, though not always alone, but he was in it. And when he was asked what next, Ronaldo answered not with cliches, but with concrete hunger. More wins, new records, never giving in. He did not talk about retirement yet. He talked about milestones left. He did not promise peace. He promised perseverance. Snubbed, doubted, mocked. From Ballon d'Or omissions to fans calling for him to be sold, from titles lost to cryptic "this chapter is over" posts, Cristiano Ronaldo has lived a career under the weight of skepticism. And every time, he has answered the same way. By scoring, by winning, by refusing to fade into someone else's timeline.